Well, trying to get a jump on this, but the time has come to finally get the Wilwood brake kit installed on the SRT4. Alright, so I'm looking over the instructions, getting ready to see what I need to do to get this right here assembled for the rotors. These are the bolts that we need. This is the actual rotor. This is the center hub right here. Getting this stuff unboxed, unbagged, and ready. Come on. For some assembly. Alright, I'm going to open these up. I'm busy reviewing this here to see exactly what they want you to do as far as how tight everything needs to be into the rotor that holds it together for that assembly, and checking out some of the other parts. I'm locating here. Let me see. Gotta figure this out. This says red Loctite, so I'll have to get some of that out. I have more red Loctite. It tells you what to torque stuff to. So orient the rotor, 6, and the hat 7, and figure 1 and photo, and attach it using the bolts using an alternate sequence. Apply red Loctite to the threads and torque to 25 foot-pounds. All right, so we're gonna break out our 3/8 torque wrench here. And then we'll get everything tightened up. We'll get everything torqued down. I'm going to grab some red Loctite. I'll show you what I'm doing here when I get this together. And yeah, these are the bolts that we need to use. It was a busy day. We were doing all kinds of stuff today, playing with all kinds of SRT4 parts. So these are the bolts we need. We're going to get them assembled to both of our rotors here assembled. I'll show you kind of what I'm doing, the torquing process, how I'm setting up my torque wrench. These are older Craftsman wrenches, but they are pretty much new. They are stored always on 0 and seem to be working fine anytime I need them. So I'm going to get these things installed, assembled, Loctited, torqued, and show you what I'm doing. Alright, so it looks like they want you to install the brake pads into one of the calipers. So I'm just going to double check this like you do with anything else. Just, look at them. They all look like they have the same numbers on the back. All 4 of them are the same shape, so that's kind of cool that all of the pads are exactly the same. All right. So that should make it easy as far as obtaining more pads, you would think. So here we go. Let's get this caliper here unboxed. Unbagged. Just got bubble wrap inside of here. You can actually look in here. Let's get this paperwork out of here, and let's pull the cotter key out. Okay, so you can actually, hopefully we can see, let me see if I would see in here. You can see into this caliper. I never turn that on enough. You can see into the caliper here. You can see the pistons. I'm assuming we need to go like this. Brakes are easy. I'm going to slide this through like this. And they're just showing it getting bent over. So you could use a flathead screwdriver or a pair of needle nose, which I think what I'm going to do is I'll get it started with these right here. And I'll finish it out with this. Being careful not to scratch my caliper. Now I have that run because you want to see this on the outside and you don't want to see that bent over. So that I have going to the inside. All right. Now, with that said, we now have our pads inside one of our calibers. Yeah, check this out here. Yep, this is a paper. Just tells you to use the uppermost bleeders, whether it's 1 or 2 on there also. All right, let's see what the actual bracket here looks like. Try to get this opened up. Okay. All right, we got the bracket removed. Looks like the larger ones actually go to the inside. I'm just checking this out. Probably goes like this is what it'll be. That's what it'll look like on when it's mounted on the car. We'll have the ones coming from this side. So the instructions basically, before I got to this point, told me to take and get the rotor actually installed onto the hub itself. So right now at this point, I'm going to get my other caliber loaded with the pads, and then I'm going to go on to the next steps here and just double check everything, read ahead maybe. I have to figure out exactly what this is. It looks like they give you some of the comments I had on the unboxing. Some of the guys said sometimes shimming this out is a little tough. So you kind of have to install the rotor. You want to put 3 lug nuts on and lock it onto the hub. And then when you install this on your bracket, this spaces it out right here. It almost looks like there's maybe 2 washers in between there or something. So we'll have to play with that and see exactly how that works. And then you have the other bolts that actually bolt. Looks like these ones here look like they actually bolt the bracket onto the car. Yeah, so I'm going to load the other caliber. And we're going to get ready to get the actual rotor installed onto the hub, and we're going to do some side-by-side comparison of what we have, and you know, we'll go from there. Let's get these brakes on. Okay, so I've already replaced my control arms. I put new bushings in. I did actually replace my spindles. They have PT spindles on. We have new wheel bearings. Hubs with longer ARP bolts already. It's all a bunch of stuff I kind of had sitting around. The brakes should be not too tight. Okay, there we go. Now, I reassembled the stock brakes back on here. I mean, they are pretty much new. I mean, there's probably not even 1,000 miles on this set of front brakes. I did... why I did this was I reassembled everything, and I wanted to bleed fresh brake fluid through my system before installing the new caliber, and I didn't want the old brake fluid going through that stuff. So let's take a look at this side by side here. These were actually a little tighter than what I wanted them to be, but it's no big deal. Right, yeah. We got our bracket off. Okay, here's our rotor. You can take a look at this side by side. This one is definitely heavier. There's a lot less weight here. I should actually pull one side off and weigh it, and then weigh one complete side just to see what the weight difference is. Now, like I said, these are new, so it would be pretty much a really close comparison. Now, there's going to be your Wilwood rotor. Here's going to be your factory rotor. Hopefully that's in the film here. This, looking down over it, it looks like we have maybe about a 1/2 inch all the way around, so it's probably an inch larger. Let's try this like this. So there you go. You can see just how much bigger this is. All right, now these have arrows pointing the direction forward. Let's see what these look like. All right, so that's how you want that to fit on there. And man, it already looks good. I'm gonna have to see what I got to make up to work for this, because I'm pretty sure my closed end lugs aren't gonna work. So I'm probably gonna have to cut my tops off of these to be able to use these, but I'm gonna get some washers or something to be able to hold this on for now. Okay, so these are our brake pads. Now, there is less friction material on here. So as a guess, I'm gonna say that these will wear out faster than a normal pair of brakes, but I'm sure that the stopping power is going to be a whole lot nicer with these brakes. So, with that being said, I can tell you right now, these feel lighter in my hand in comparison to these. There is your difference side by side. And like I said, these are fairly new brake pads. I said I'm sure there's less than 1,000 miles on these. So we have these that are supposed to go into our caliper. Now, I'm going to grab a caliper and the bracket and the bolts that we're supposed to need to be able to install this. Alright, so you have this bracket right here, which is made out of cast steel. This bracket here is aluminum. Definitely, you can tell just by looking at these two that there is an extreme amount of weight difference. Alright, so we have 2 of our bolts, 2 sleeves, 2 flat washers like this, thick flat washers, and 2 thin flat washers. Now I'm not sure what side that they actually are going to... Alright, so this is kind of down in place. I don't know if you can see here, like, see, I can slide this in on this side. This side here is pretty tight. It looks like I have room up here. So I'm probably going to pull one of these spacer washers out and try to retest fit this. But I mean, it's actually looking quite amazing on the car. So once I get that done, I'm going to snug everything down and we're going to install the wheel and double check our clearances there. Right now, I mean, everything is still together, so I can actually bolt the stock system back on if I'm having clearance issues with it, whether it's offset on the wheel or spoke or something along them lines. So I'm just dying to see what this thing looks like through the wheel, even though it's dirty, because I still didn't clean this car yet. But let's check this out. Well, other than a dirty wheel, it's actually looking pretty darn nice back through there. Amazing. It's a shame I don't have bigger wheel spokes here. You know, you'd actually get to see them, but it, compared to the red that was behind there, it's definitely an upgrade. All right, well, I guess we're down to doing the other side and getting the other side mounted up. Shimmed it, tightened down, and locked up. Taking out the 2 other shim washers worked, so I know I only need 1 there now. I can put these others back with the kit. It looks like my studs are just a little long here, so I'm just going to hold these. I'm just going to cut the back ends of these off. I'll still be able to use my tool So I'll probably look for some different lugs that are open to use for these wheels on the car, or just something different entirely after that. But right now, this is definitely very, very nice. All right, where I ended this was we had everything assembled and centered out. What I did so far, I just did this side, removed everything. I'll kind of go over that stuff when I'm doing the other side when I get to that point. The bracket, where it goes on, and putting the line and basically the lines and the fittings, and getting the actual caliper bled out a little bit. But what I wanted to do was, I have my scale here, so I think it's a good idea. I have one set of everything right here, and I'm going to grab the rotor. Let's weigh the Wilwood setup, okay? And then we're going to take and weigh the brake setup that we took off, just out of curiosity to see what the weight difference was. When you set stuff on here, it kind of just holds it then when it peaks out. So we're just going to zero this out, take everything off of here. And see if this will work. And then we can see 15 pounds, 7.6 ounces. All right, I have everything on here. So here's caliber in the line. Just gonna set this stuff on the ground. £28, 13.9 ounces. I mean, that is, that's quite considerable. That's 13 pounds, without even figuring out the little stuff. So it's probably like 13.5 pounds more weight in stock brake setup per side. So let's just see how much. Here, we put that on there. So 15.5, 15 for a stock rotor. So, I mean, there's a 5 pound difference in the rotating mass of just the rotors. But I mean, that's, that's 30 pounds of weight you're taking off the front. You're already increasing your braking power of how quick you're going to stop. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of curious what the longevity of, like, the brake pad material and stuff is going to be. That's all going to be stuff that I'm going to figure out down the road. But yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a difference as far as weight is concerned. So I'm going to get the caliper bracket and rotor mounted on this side, and I'll show you what you got to do for the hoses and stuff, and we'll get that knocked out here real quick. So we ended up, it was 13 pounds, 6.3 ounces. Right now I'm getting ready to show how to get the rest of this installed. So we have our passenger front rotor, caliper, and bracket. This stuff's all assembled. It gets one bolt in there like I was showing. Here is the rest of the stuff that we need to put on: our hose, a bracket for that, a clip that holds that, and this will go in to the caliper here. There's a label. If you check this out, one side has a flared end, the other one doesn't. The one that doesn't have the flared end actually goes into the caliper here. All right, so we're just going to get that started into here. It does seem to get pretty tight. I was trying to figure out why, who, when, but it doesn't seem like it wants to leak. I did try to just, get this thing tightened up good, like this. I just kind of had it pointing back that direction because that's where we're going to be. Now, your brake hose is here. Do I have the right one? Yeah. Okay. So I have a rag laying across my freshly painted arm to try to keep the paint from getting eaten, and a can down here. Now, as soon as that's off, you want to have this ready to go because it's going to screw into here. And this is going to go on top like this. And this will fit down through this bracket. It's actually pretty tight. I think it's just because of the coating. But once you get it started like that, see, it starts to go down in. And then it'll have this little clip, which you can push in, I would say this direction, onto this. Right here. Trying to hold this close. So it'll go this way to hold it in. Okay, so now we're completely removed. Move your ABS line. Alright, so now we have that disconnected. Brake fluid dripping everywhere. Alright. Now that this is down in here, it's probably easier to get this started and get these brake area lines lined up this way. Alright, so we just started. The hose has a 90, that goes on up here. This stuff is never fun. It's always such a mess. I have a big wrench. This has a nut head on it to hold, so you can get the flared line tightened in here just fine. Okay. Now, this is an American measurement, so it's a 1/2 inch. 13 mil will work for this too. I'll hold this back again so I can get it tightened up. Okay. And here, get this to fit, this fitting to go down through. You can grab this piece right here and snap it in. Like that. Now I always start closer to where the feed is, because this is actually it's actually bleeding the line out right now. As you can see, I have fluid dripping over here. Maybe you can hear it. And that means that my brake hose is actually bled through. So I'm just tightening that up over here onto the caliper. And that finishes that up. Now, since we had good flow, I'm going to pop the top on both of these. In case you couldn't see where I was at, we got that together. Now we're down over into here onto our caliper. Try to get this cleaned off of here. All right, so initial test drive, you can see it did kind of wear the black off of the rotor itself. After a couple slow stops, yeah, you can see here I did have to, because I have the longer studs now, I did have to grind I cut the ends of those lugs off. They just seem to work fine. It doesn't really look too bad. Hopefully it doesn't get too rusty looking. But anyway, the brakes all bled out. I kind of did a little bit of a couple, I don't know if that's from this, probably just kind of break this thing in. I'm going to get this thing washed up, and we're going to do some more driving anyway, regardless, okay? We do need to get an alignment on the car, front and rear. I'm going to try to get it a little bit closer on my floor here. It did drive straight down the road, but I didn't really drive too far. I kind of just did like a 1.5 mile stint there. Just to try to make sure that the brakes were working good. Today, I'm actually planning on washing everything up to get it clean for the show, but we do have our front brakes on. I'm still waiting to get the rear brakes in the mail. There's a couple other things I want to do here. I was able to get the new fog lights in. They look a whole lot nicer than the wonderful, you know, faded original OEM lights. I probably could have buffed them up a little bit or cleared them, and they would have looked all right for a while. But why do that when you can still get new, okay? It's just a whole lot easier. But yes, back to the brakes. They worked really good. I kind of probably really shouldn't show this, but whatever. I kind of spun a little bit and then hit the brakes. That's from hitting the brakes. So they do stop, they do work, they are very nice. Like I said, everything's on, everything's installed now. So we'll get some videos getting this thing cleaned up for the next one. Like I said, this is going to be my little series of getting my stuff ready to go to Carlisle 2021. So I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody there. If you watched the video, thanks, thumbs up. And I'll see you at the show. And I'll see you in the next video getting this thing ready to go.